Hello and welcome to HardReset.Info. In this tutorial, I will show you how to customize your phone for older and senior people. Let's begin. Now, the easiest way to do it, to make sure that older people can fully understand and, use the new Samsung S25 Ultra, is by going into settings, scrolling just a bit, clicking display, scrolling here, and, clicking easy mode. As you can see, the easy mode makes the text and the on-screen items appear larger, and it will also increase the touch and hold delay, and we can fully customize it. So let's enable it. And as we can see, the font is bigger and better to read, and all the buttons are like twice as large. Now we can also play around with the touch and hold delay. For older people, medium or long is basically the perfect amount. And if you are not sure, you can always just try it out. And as you can see in this little tutorial, we need to touch and hold one of the circles to see how your touch and hold time works. So if we do that, now we can only move the icon after touching it for 1.5 seconds. I will change it to short just for the sake of this tutorial, but you can always change it back later. Or medium, it doesn't really matter. But that's not all you can do. For example, you can go specifically to font size. You can turn off bold font if you don't need it, or you can turn it back on again. And you can also change the font style, for example to Samsung or Gothic, to make sure it's even bigger, and to make sure it's the biggest it could possibly be, you can also change the font size. It's really nice option for people with poor vision that can't really make out of little tiny letters they see on screen. Now, for the usage of your phone, you can also disable changing the tabs, because it can also randomly change, and someone might not know how to change it back. So we can simply go here and let's say delete this option, but it's a handy way of context, but still we can delete it, and we can delete this. We can also go to settings if we want to customize it fully. For example, I want to disable the Google Discover to make sure it's easier to use, and it prevents accidental clicking. For example, now you can see that I cannot swipe any other way except up, which gives us a whole list of every single application here. Can we do more? Well, yeah. First of all, we can actually get a better layout of our applications. Here you see the most important ones that an older person would probably use. This is for writing messages, and this one is for calling, which you can show this basically to your grandma and grandpa and whoever you like. We can also get, for example, our settings menu, and we can swipe it right here, so they don't need to click it and find it manually or even type it, but they have it right here. You can also tell your grandma, grandpa, or older person that if you ever need to change something, you can simply go to settings, click the search bar, and just type what you need. As you can see though, our keyboard is still very small and it doesn't really work well with big text. So we can change it by scrolling all the way down, which will take a while because we have increased the size. And here we can find the General Management tab. We click it. We can change the size and the layout and keys, so we can actually adjust the size. So here we can just make it bigger, and we can even move the whole keyboard around. So now we can just see that it's a little bigger. But if you don't want the Microsoft Swift key, you can always just change back to the Samsung one. And here, settings in here, you can also find other options. For example, you can have a writing assist, but it will require a Galaxy AI and you will need to log in into your Samsung account. So remember that. You can also turn off and on predictive text. It depends on the type of person you want to give the phone to, as it gives you technically less control, but it, well, makes your life easier. If you have any shortcuts on your phone, you can always delete them here, or you can even add. But still, I would advise you to tell your grandma, grandpa, or whoever you like that, hey, I added this shortcut. If you type email, you will automatically have the example, and the example Samsung.com. You can also turn on the high contrast keyboard, so it's better to see. And here we can have our size and transparency and font size. So we can simply go big, and the letters are much bigger now. And we can also just increase the size itself, or we can just move it around. So we can call done, and now if we go to font size, we can see how big the keyboard is. And it should be very easy to use it now. If you have by accident not set your buttons here, you can also change them. Because normally you would have moves and not buttons, but you would like move your finger. You can always change it on by going into display and scrolling until you find navigation bar. And here you can see that you can turn on the swipe gestures. So maybe, for example, your grandma doesn't see the buttons very well, but will remember that if she wants to go back, she can just hold and swipe right, or hold here to have all the tabs. It depends on the type of person. Personally, I would advise you to keep the buttons on, but you can always go to more options and, for example, change the order if you don't like it. Is the phone easier to work with now? Well, yes, but it still could be more improved. For example, we can go here and we see that there's a bunch of different options, and if we expand this, it's even more options. And normal, well, older human being probably won't use stuff like scan QR code or link to Windows because maybe they don't have a computer. They won't use mobile hotspot because, well, why would they? We can also fully customize this screen using this pencil icon. For example, we can move around all different things, but keep in mind that you will have to hold your finger longer because we changed it earlier. And we can edit here. We can add other buttons that we want and we think are necessary, for example the finder or battery protection. Or we can remove stuff like, for example, link for Windows or screen recorder or quick share or the interpreter and multi-control and do not disturb and location and mobile hotspot and basically everything else. When you're done, you can simply click done, and now done once again, and you can see that it's much clearer and there's no longer such crowd here. I think this wraps up this tutorial. Just remember that if you ever want to change back to, well, normal settings, you can always go down, scroll all the way down, a bit higher to general management, and here you can see the reset option, and you can always reset all settings, but keep in mind that it will ask you for a PIN first. And also, if you want to change PIN for example your grandma, because maybe she doesn't really like to draw patterns each time, you can also very easily do that by finding lock screen and AOD, going to screen lock and biometrics, but it will ask you to input your current password. And now you can, for example, change to only swipe, because it's easy to do and old people will have no problem swiping their screen, or just turn it off completely. And now you can easily activate your phone just like that. So I think this wraps up this tutorial. If you found this helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. Thank you.